Tom Brady fed Rob Gronkowski repeatedly to set up Dion Lewis' go-ahead 8-yard touchdown with 56 seconds remaining, and Ben Roethlisberger was intercepted in the end zone with 5 seconds left. The Patriots 113 gained the inside track for home field advantage in the AFC playoffs by ending Pittsburgh's 8-game winning streak. Brady threw for 298 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception. Gronkowski, fresh off a 1-game suspension, finished with 9 receptions for 168 yards, including 4 on the winning drive. It briefly looked like it would be enough. The Steelers 113, who played most of the game without injured star wide receiver Antonio Brown, appeared to take the lead when Roethlisberger connected with tight end Jesse James for a 10-yard touchdown with 28 seconds to left. The play was overturned on review, with official Tony Corrente saying the ball did not survive the completion of the catch. Roethlisberger hit Darius Hayward for a short gain, WHP, but stayed in bounds. With the clock running and no timeouts, rather than spike it to set up a short kick that would have sent the game to overtime, Roethlisberger tried to win it. Instead, he lost it. His pass to Eli Rogers was batted into the air, and New England safety Duron Harmon came down with it. One kneel down later, the Patriots had their 5th straight victory over the Steelers. Brown, the NFL's leading receiver, went to a hospital having his left calf injury examined. Jaguars 45, Texans 7. The Jacksonville Jaguars are returning to the playoffs for the first time in a decade thanks to a 457 drubbing of rival Houston on Sunday. Once the NFL's poster child for futility and a punchline for potential relocation, the Jaguars 104 are now one of the league's top turnaround stories. Blake Bortles threw 3 touchdowns passes, including 2 to a reserve receiver who slept in his car earlier this season. The Jaguars won for the 7th time in 8 games to clinch a postseason berth for the first time since 2007. Bortles finished with a season-high 326 yards and the best QB rating 143.8 of his career, including 186 yards and a touchdown to rookie Keelan Cole. Primary punt returner Jaden Mickens, who stepped in for injured starter Marquise Lee in the first quarter, caught 4 passes for 61 yards and 2 scores against the Texans' 410. The Jaguars were an NFL worst 2,274 over the previous 6 years, more a laughingstock than a postseason contender. Rams 42, Seahawks 7. Todd Gurley rushed for 152 yards and scored 4 total touchdowns in just 2.5 quarters, and the Rams moved to the cusp of their first division title since 2003. The matchup to determine first place in the NFC West was completely one-sided. Los Angeles 104 was dominant, embarrassing Seattle into the worst loss during Pete Carroll's 8 seasons in charge. Taking advantage of field position, the Rams scored on 6 of 7 first-half drives, including a 21-point blitz in the second quarter capped by a 57-yard TD run by Gurley on 3rd and 20 with less than a minute remaining in the first half to take a 340 lead at the break. Gurley had 144 yards rushing in the first half, twice scoring from the 1. He added a 14-yard TD reception midway through the third quarter for a 400 Rams lead and spent the rest of his day watching. The 152 yards rushing were the second best of his career. The Rams don't have the division wrapped up, but have a 12-game lead with 2 weeks to play. A win against either Tennessee or San Francisco is enough for their first division title in 14 years. 49ers 25, Titans 23. Jimmy Garoppolo led one final scoring drive in the closing seconds to cap a fantastic first home start, and Robbie Gould kicked a winning 45-yard field goal as time expired. Garoppolo threw for a career-high 381 yards and a touchdown to give the 49ers 410 a 3-game winning streak in a lost season. And Tom Brady's former backup showed he could do it at home as well as on the road, and against a playoff contender, no less, outdueling Marcus Mariota down the stretch as the teams traded field goals. Gould kicked 3 of his 6 field goals over the final 9 minutes 50, 48 and 45 yards, and has now gone 20 consecutive without a miss. Gould put the Niners out front on a 48-yarder with 308 remaining. Mariota then drove the Titans 86 to a lead as Ryan Succop kicked a 50-yard field goal with 107 to play. Then Garoppolo and the San Francisco offense got one last shot. Vikings 34, Bengals 7. Eric Kendricks had an interception return for a touchdown. Case Keenum passed for 236 yards and 2 scores, and the Vikings clinched the NFC North over the depleted and disinterested Bengals. Running backs Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon combined for 37 touches and 242 yards from scrimmage for the Vikings 113, who were given quite the reprieve on the schedule a week after their 8-game winning streak ended at Carolina in the last of 3 consecutive road trips. They were never challenged the Bengals 59, missing more than half of the starting defense to injuries, and met with a morning report by ESPN that head coach Marvin Lewis will not return next season. The game went so smoothly that Teddy Bridgewater even made his grand entrance, his first live action in 16 months since a massive knee injury. Bridgewater's first pass was intercepted, a high throw that bounced off McKinnon's hands and into the arms of strong safety Shawn Williams deep in Vikings territory. That set up a short touchdown run by Giovanni Bernard to keep the Bengals from being shut out for a second time this year. Keenum completed 20 of 23 passes, including 7 easy tosses to McKinnon for 114 yards in the first 100-yard receiving game for a Vikings running back since Ontario Smith on September 26, 2004, against Chicago. Lewis, who lost to a former assistant Mike Zimmer for the first time in 8 matchups. Zimmer was the defensive coordinator for the Bengals from 2000-813. Eagles 34, Giants 29. Nick Foles threw 4 touchdown passes in his first start replacing the injured Carson Wentz, and the Eagles secured a first-round playoff bye. Foles hit 24 of 38 passes for 237 yards and no interceptions. The NFC East champion Eagles 122 made a late stand on first on goal in the final minute in edging the Giants 212 for the second time this season, spoiling a 3-touchdown, season-high 434-yard passing game by Eli Manning. Foles hit Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, Trey Burton and Nelson Agholor on scoring passes ranging from 3 to 13 yards in filling in for Wentz, who tore an ACL last week and was lost for the season after a brilliant year. The Eagles also got 2 field goals from Jake Elliott and 3 blocked kicks from their special teams, foiling an extra point, a punt and field goal. The block on the punt set up a touchdown. Manning finished 37 of 57 and hit Tavares King on 2 touchdowns and Sterling Shepard on 1. It was Manning's 9th career 400-yard game and his first since last season. Panthers 31, Packers 24. Cam Newton threw for 242 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the Panthers spoiled Aaron Rodgers' return from a broken collarbone. Damiere Byrd had 2 touchdown catches, and Christian McCaffrey had 136 yards from scrimmage, including a 7-yard touchdown reception as the Panthers 104 won their 4th straight home game. Greg Olsen had his most productive game since returning from a broken foot, catching 9 passes for 116 yards and a TD, and the Panthers kept pace with the first-place New Orleans Saints in the NFC South. Rodgers, making his first appearance since the 15th of October, threw for 290 yards with 3 touchdowns, but was intercepted 3 times as the Packers' playoff hopes took a critical blow. Green Bay 77 had a chance to send the game into overtime for a 3rd straight week, but cornerback James Bradbury stripped wide receiver Geronimo Allison of the ball with 148 remaining. Mike Adams recovered to finish off the Packers. Saints 31, Jets 19. Mark Ingram ran for 2 touchdowns and gained 151 yards from scrimmage, including a late 50-yard TD run, and the Saints overcame 3 turnovers. Michael Thomas became the 2nd NFL player with at least 90 receptions in his first 2 seasons. He caught 9 passes for 93 yards, including a pivotal fourth-quarter touchdown on a short slant for New Orleans 104, which retained its tenuous hold on first place in the NFC South heading into the final 2 weeks of the regular season. Alvin Kamara turned a short catch into a 10-yard TD in his return from a concussion that knocked him out of the Saints' loss at Atlanta a week earlier. Bryce Petty made his first start at quarterback this season for the Jets 59, who were eliminated from playoff contention. Petty completed 19 of 39 passes for 179 yards and a touchdown, but was intercepted twice, once on a tipped pass and once on a long, inconsequential throw as the game ended. His 2-yard touchdown pass to rookie Elijah McGuire cut New Orleans' lead to 2,419 with 151 left. but the Jets' onside kick failed and Ingram broke loose for his long score while the Saints were trying to run down the clock. Drew Brees completed 26 of 36 passes for 285 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also was intercepted deep in his own territory to set up a Jets field goal at the end of the first half. Ravens 27, Browns 10. Joe Flacco threw a touchdown pass, ran for a score and beat Cleveland again as the Ravens stayed on track for the AFC playoffs. With victories at home over Indianapolis and Cincinnati in its last 2 games, the Ravens will return to the postseason after a 2-year absence. The Browns are 2 losses from becoming the NFL's second 0-1-6 team. Flacco scored on a 2-yard run and threw a 33-yard TD pass to Benjamin Watson as the Ravens 86 took control with 2 touchdowns in the final 301 of the first half. Defensive tackle Brandon Williams recovered a fumble and rolled in for a TD in third quarter to put the Ravens up 2,410. The Browns 0-1-4 went 0-8 at home, 0-7 in Cleveland, 0-1 in London, for the second time and must win at either Chicago or Pittsburgh to avoid joining the 2008 Detroit Lions in the notorious 0-1-6 club. Last season, the Browns avoided infamy by winning their final home game and finishing 115. Cleveland is 129 in 2 seasons under coach Hugh Jackson, who is expected to be back despite his .033 winning percentage. Bills 24, Dolphins 16. LeSean McCoy scored twice and surpassed 10,000 career yards rushing, while helping the Bills stay in the thick of the AFC playoff hunt. Tyrod Taylor also scored on a 9-yard touchdown run and Sharice Wright and Jordan Poyer intercepted Miami's Jay Cutler on consecutive drives to start the second half. Buffalo never trailed. Rookie Tre'Davious White sealed the win by intercepting Cutler with 28 seconds remaining, and 1 play after Miami punter Matt Jark recovered an onside kick at Miami's 37. The Bills have won 3 of 4 and improved to 86 to match the team's best record through 14 games during Buffalo's 17-year playoff drought, the longest active streak in North America's 4 major professional sports. The Bills were 86 in both 2004 and 2014, but missed the playoffs with 97 finishes. Buffalo also finished 62 at home to match its best finish at Orchard Park since 1999. Buffalo must now hit the road to continue its playoff pursuit, closing the season at New England, then at Miami on December 31. The loss all but mathematically eliminated the Dolphins' 68 from playoff contention. Washington 20, Cardinals 15. Anthony Lanier sacked Blaine Gabbert and forced a fumble, but Preston Smith recovered and Washington held on to beat the Cardinals in a comedy of errors for each team. Smith also intercepted Gabbert and Lanier batted down 3 passes and had 2 sacks as they gave Washington 68 a glimpse of their potential as significant pieces of the defense for years to come. Gabbert was 16 of 41 for 189 yards with the interception and a fumble he recovered himself in the fourth quarter. Arizona 68, which got all its points on field goals by Phil Dawson, went 0 for 6 in the red zone and 4 for 19 on third down as it was eliminated from playoff contention. Washington's Kirk Cousins was 18 of 26 for 196 yards with touchdown passes to Jamison Crowder and new running back Kapri Bibbs. Washington were booed at times in the second half by fans in the announced crowd of 71,026.